Hello everyone, welcome to our biology classes. Here is Radha. In this session, we're gonna discuss about the topic cell. So basically, as we all know, cells are the structural and functional units of the all organisms, and cells can also be called as fundamental units or basic units or building blocks of the all organisms, right? So cells are the structural and functional units of all organisms. And also cells can be called as fundamental units, fundamental, basic units, basic or building blocks of the organisms. Right. So, as I do, structural and functional units of all organisms. Why cells can be called structural and functional units? Because all the organisms are completely made by the number of cells or single cell. That's why cells can be called a structural unit of the organisms. And why the cells can be called functional units? Because every part of an organism is enhanced by or activated by the influence of the cells. So that's why the cells can be called as functional units. So both together called as structural and functional unit of the organisms. So this is the basic definition for the cells. And also they can call fundamental units, basic units or building blocks of the organisms. Right? All the organisms are completely made by cells. So this is what I told about the cells now. Okay. Now we can see all the organisms are same. So are the all organisms are made by same number of cells? No. So in the universe, are organisms, though they are plants or animals or any other microorganisms, they are differ from one to another due to the presence of or due to the composition of cells, right? Some organisms are we can see by the we can see them by our naked eyes, but some organisms we can't see by our naked eyes, right? If the organisms can be seen by our naked eyes means then such organisms are the multicellular organisms. If an organism we can't see them by our naked eyes means such organisms can be called as unicellular organisms like bacteria, paramecium and all. We can't see them by our naked eyes. They are microscopic in nature. And we like plants and animals and other fungi, they are multicellular organisms we can see by our naked eyes, right? So in the universe, as I told, some organisms are made by unicellular or single cell. Such organisms can be called as unicellular organisms. Example, bacteria. And also some organisms are made by large number of cells. Such organisms can be called as multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. If we consider the example, plants, animals, fungi and protista or protista group. So these are the multicellular organisms made by large number of cells. Okay. So unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms completely differ from one to another. Okay. So one more point is unicellular organisms are the so multicellular organisms are existed from the unicellular organisms. I will discuss the concept of this later. Okay. Now we will see the type of organisms in the universe. So in the universe we can observe different type of organisms divided or different type of cells also. So different organisms made by different number of cells and different type of cells. So based on that we can divide them into two groups, that are prokaryotic cells and so type of cells. prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Clear? So prokaryotic cells are the, so pro means beginning or first, U means true. So prokaryotic cells are the type of cells where they do not have the prominent nuclear membrane, nucleus and membrane bound cell organelles. Such type of organisms or cells can be called as prokaryotic cells or prokaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic, U means true. True nucleus or eukaryotic cells have the prominent nuclear membrane along with the nucleus, and also they have the membrane bound cell organelles. So such organisms or cells can be called as eukaryotic cells or eukaryotic organisms. And one more point is, so these eukaryotic cells are evolved from the prokaryotic cells. Same in case of unicellular and multicellular. All the multicellular organisms are evolved from the unicellular organisms. Like that, all the eukaryotic cells are evolved from the prokaryotic cells. Almost all eukaryotic cells are multicellular in nature. All the prokaryotic cells are unicellular in nature. So if we consider the example for prokaryotic cell means bacteria. It is the unicellular organisms. Bacteria, it is a unicellular organism and it doesn't possess any nucleus, nuclear membrane and any cell organelles. That's why bacteria can be comes under the prokaryotic cell. If we consider the examples for eukaryotic cells means plants, as I told in the multicellular organisms, plants, animals, fungi and protists. So these organisms are the eukaryotic organisms or eukaryotic cells made by large number of eukaryotic cells, and these are also the multicellular organisms. Okay, so this is the information about the type of organisms in the universe and type of cells in the universe which are made by the which the organisms are made by the different number of and different type of cells. Okay, so if it is clear means next we'll go to the discovery of cell. So we will see the discovery of cell. So cell has been discovered by the great scientist named by Robert Hooke. So he is a great scientist who proposed who discovered the cell in 1665. In 1665, where he observed the cell. So he just observed the cell from the slices of cork. From the slice of cork. So what is cork? Cork is the bark of tree. So cork is the bark of tree, right? So Robert Hooke once observed the honeycomb-like structures. Honeycomb-like structures in the bark region of the tree, and he just named such structures as cells. So clear? Robert Hooke is a great scientist. He proposed or he discovered the cell in 1665 from the slice of cork. Cork means the bark, right? So this is all about the discovery of cell. So next we will see the cell theory or theory of cell. who proposed it and what it says. Okay. So cell theory was proposed by the great two scientists, they are Schleiden and Schwann. Both of them are the great scientists. They gave the cell theory. So now let us see what they both scientists tell about the cell in the cell theory. So they just said first, all the organisms are made up of cells. So they just said all the organisms made by cells. This is the first statement said by the Schleiden and Schwann under the cell theory. So all the organisms are completely made by, structurally and functionally completely made by the number of cells or a single cell. This was given by the Schleiden and Schwann under cell theory. We will see the next statement what they said. Okay. So next statement given by the Schleiden and Schwann, that is, cells are the structural and functional unit of all the organisms. Cells are the structural and functional units. So as I told in the beginning of the video, for the definition of cells, cells are the structural and functional unit of all the organisms. This statement was given by the Schleiden and Schwann in the cell theory. So next we will see one more statement they gave, that is, all the cells are evolved or existed from the pre-existed cells. That means all the new cells are existed from the old cells. So all the cells are evolved from or evolved by pre-existed cells. So this statement was given under the cell theory by Schleiden and Schwann, that is, so as I told, all the new cells are existed or produced from the old cells. So these are the evolved cells are evolved from the pre-existed or old cells. So these three statements are given by Schleiden and Schwann under cell theory. Okay. So in the next video we will discuss about the type of cells, that means prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. In the next video we will completely discuss about the differences between the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. In this video, is there any doubts? Please ask in the comment box. Okay then, thank you.